65 Accumulation of errors. Using 4 light Thunderbolt fighter jets to chase the Su-30 of the brigade, this kind of thing can only be done by a lunatic, and Colonel Sammy is such a lunatic. If the previous Su-30s turned around now, they would still have an overwhelming advantage in numbers, firepower, and control, but Sammy had long known that the Lion squadron that escaped in front was a rookie unit with only its appearance. In all previous confrontations, they did not dare to engage in close combat. All the time, the colonel himself had only heard lions in the air on the radio call, and has still not seen a lion. He judged the guy can't have a strong ability to adapt, and now he is probably scared by the beating. The heavy load of the Su-30 MKI became a burden for them to escape. When they accelerated in a row, the Thunder squad in the rear gradually pushed up. Each of these Thunders only carried 2 newly arrived Thunderbolt 9 missiles. There is no other burden. The 3 fuel tanks that were carried on takeoff have also been abandoned at this time. Fortress, when will the cover group of Atom Bull take off? Sahili asked anxiously on the radio. Now he fearful of flying in enemy airspace. He looked to the MiG-29s of the Trident squadron, who were usually ignored by them, to cover him. A few minutes ago, those missiles that suddenly burst out of the clouds and flew all over the sky put the captain in complete distrust of the electronic reconnaissance/suppression capabilities boasted by Air Force intelligence. Torch team, Atom Bull's plane is still refueling and can't take off now. The early warning aircraft told the truth. The subordinates of this operation really have a big problem. The Southwest Military Region Command, probably to show a certain big man on the ground their ability to operate jointly, dispatched about 30 aircraft, including a lot of them, at the beginning of the Operation Atom Bull's MiG-29. The planes were noisily taking off from several airports, and some of the short-legged MiG-29Bs didn't seem to be helpful for the mission, just consuming fuel and engine life in the air. Halfway through the mission, the Trident squadron's fighters turned back because they ran out of fuel, and now when they needed cover, the MiG-29s were lying on the ground and couldn't move. Captain Sahili began to regain his senses gradually. He kept checking the updated data on the HDD and found that there were only 4 enemy planes behind him, but he did not dare to turn back rashly, because it was difficult for him to understand the intense pursuit. Is the intention of the enemy's enemy still part of a conspiracy? But in any case, 2 Su-30s in his team gradually fell behind. He decided to keep these 2 planes on a straight route and fly straight to the border, while he led the first 5 planes to turn 45 degrees to the east. See if there is a chance, detour to a position where you can fire medium-range rounds. This is a rather compromised idea, that is, it avoids turning back and killing the enemy with a bayonet and waiting for the enemy to easily occupy a favorable position, but doing so also allows the captain to spread his forces. Colonel, the enemy is turning towards Amritsar, they are dispersed, said one wingman in the Thunderbolt group. Brothers, here's our chance, and I've been worried about not catching them. But they're starting to make mistakes. Where are we chasing? Squadron. Keep up with those 5 and kick their ass. Don't let them find a chance to fire. Understood. Abbas, hell, leave that EU plane alone, you have to stop the lions for me. Drive them all into the sheepfold. Squadron commander, I'm still 120 kilometers away from them. Don't worry, as long as you block a little bit, I guarantee that their commander will be confused soon. Captain Sahili was immediately thrown into confusion. Among them, he found that the enemy behind did not pursue the other 2 Su-30s as he expected, but followed the turn and chased him. And at 2 o'clock, a pair of enemy planes were also turning around. Soon he and Abbas's fleet detected each other's radar beams. Once again, he made a wrong decision, ordering to turn left after a change of course. After completing this action, the pilots sitting in the back could already see the group of Thunderbolts closely following. Now all 5 Lions are in an absolutely unfavorable position in the enemy's 12 o'clock direction. Torch squad, the enemy plane behind you is already very close. It is recommended to dive and accelerate. Adam Bull's Trident squad is taking off. Helpless, Sahili had to follow the advice of the early warning aircraft blankly. He led the team and rushed towards the sky where he was most afraid. In the captain's mind, he couldn't figure out what happened in the last 10 minutes. His squad originally had 10 powerful fighters, but now there are only half of them left. What is it for? Of course, this kind of thing is not so easy to think clearly. Only Sammy or Captain Roll, who is taking off from Adam Bull, can understand the key point here. Many wrong decisions will eventually accumulate into a major loss of control. Only from the air battle only the pilots who have climbed over will know that the most taboo in air combat is meaningless turmoil, which will allow calm enemies to slowly find opportunities. Mountainous area northwest of Amritsar. A 37mm double-barreled self-propelled gun on a tracked chassis was parked on a wet hillside. Corporal Commander Mohammed Hanif, in a fat raincoat, was standing outside the car, and for 10 minutes he had been searching the northern sky with his binoculars. Although the shaped antenna on this old gun car has been rotating 360 degrees, the PPI display inside the car has always been just a flickering spot of light. All radio communication in the car was completely cut off because of the constant electronic interference from the Indians. The corporal just had a gut feeling that the enemy might come from the north, because the Jhelum Dam was just north. Hanif never thought about using this vehicle to hit any important target. Before he was deployed to this desolate place, his superiors told him that the main target was the Indian drone that crossed the border for reconnaissance, or waited until the ground started. Armored vehicles that can hit Indian infantry. This 37mm self-propelled anti-aircraft gun is part of China's emergency military assistance. It is obviously a used product that has been used for many years. Although it has a radar and TV tracking system on the surface, it even has a simple fire control computer, which seems to be independent. Combat, but all its working modes are based on manual setting of the slant range and manual gun operation, so in the corporal's view, this anti-aircraft gun seems to be more suitable for firing on ground targets with poor mobility. From the billowing clouds in the northern horizon, there was a violent flash of light, and the corporal knew it was not a real lightning, because the thunder had not come. It was most likely an aircraft firing tracers. The corporal hurriedly jumped onto the chassis and slammed the hatch a few times. After a few seconds, the gunner stuck his head out blankly. Quickly search the north and use the optical sight. Before the words were finished, a gray plane emerged from the cloud layer. It flew east for a while, and suddenly turned to the solitary anti-aircraft gun. What should I do? The gunner muttered, still unfamiliar with this newly acquired weapon, and worried that the plane would fire on him.